I'm Natalie, 29 years old, and my mother Linda just hung up after telling me I need to sell my penthouse apartment to bail out my sister. 3 years of complete radio silence, and that's how she chose to reconnect. Not with an apology, not even a simple, "How are you doing?" but with a demand for $39,000. Because apparently, being family means I'm the walking ATM, and my success exists solely to fix everyone else's problems. Have you ever been invisible your entire life until suddenly you became useful? Drop your location in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button if you've ever felt like the family disappointment who somehow became the family bank. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next, because this story gets wild. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really started, back when I was just a kid who didn't know any better. I was 7 years old when my parents brought home baby Tyler, and overnight I transformed from daughter into unpaid employee. Not the big sister, the help. While other kids my age played with dolls and watched cartoons after school, I was changing diapers and warming bottles on the stove. Natalie's so responsible. My mother would tell her friends at church, showing me off like a trained puppy, such a little helper. That word, helper, still makes my skin crawl 22 years later. 2 years later came Brooke, and my unpaid internship as childcare provider became a full-time position with no days off. My daily routine looked like this: walk home from school, pick up both kids from daycare, feed them dinner, help with homework, and put them to bed. All while my parents worked late or attended Tyler's soccer practice. Because Tyler needed extra attention. Tyler was special. Tyler had potential that required investment. My 10th birthday arrived on a Tuesday in October. I waited all day for someone to remember, watching as Linda and Richard hurried around the house preparing for Tyler's parent-teacher conference. Finally, at dinner, I mentioned it was my birthday. "Oh, sweetie," Linda said, barely glancing up from cutting Brooke's chicken into tiny pieces. "We'll celebrate this weekend, okay? Tyler's tournament is more important right now." That weekend never came. There was always something more pressing, more important, more urgent than celebrating the daughter who kept their household running like a well-oiled machine. But you know what's funny, and I use that term very loosely? They never missed Tyler's birthday or Brooke's. Those were events with themes and decorations and friends and expensive cake from that fancy bakery downtown. By the time I turned 12, I'd stopped expecting birthday celebrations entirely. I'd learned my place in the family hierarchy. Invisible until needed. Need someone to watch the kids while you attend Brooke's dance recital? Call Natalie. Need someone to clean up after Tyler's sleepover party? Natalie's got it handled. Need someone to sacrifice their weekend plans because the babysitter canceled? Good thing Natalie never has plans anyway. High school was when the pattern really cemented itself into concrete. While Tyler got new cleats every season and Brooke got whatever art supplies her heart desired, I worked part-time at our neighbor's restaurant to save money for college. Because somehow, despite being the oldest and supposedly the most responsible, I was the only one expected to fund my own future. "You're so mature for your age," Linda would say whenever I questioned the inequality. "You understand that money doesn't grow on trees." Apparently, money did grow on trees, just not trees that benefited me. Senior year brought the crushing realization that despite maintaining a 4.0 GPA and working 20 hours a week, I'd saved exactly $3,000 for college. Tyler's travel baseball expenses had somehow become my responsibility when the family budget got tight. Just this once had turned into every tournament, every training camp, every piece of equipment he needed. That's when I made my first real decision as an adult. I was done being their servant. The day I announced I'd received a full scholarship to Columbia University was the day I learned what conditional love really looked like. You'd think parents would be proud, right? Their daughter, the one who'd been raising their other children since she could barely tie her own shoes, had earned a full ride to an Ivy League school. Linda's response? "Well, that's convenient. Now Tyler can use your college fund for his elite baseball program." "I'm sorry, what college fund?" I'd asked, genuinely confused. The $3,000 I'd been saving became Tyler's by family decree because I no longer needed it. Because I'd found another way. Because somehow my hard work and sacrifice made me less deserving of family investment, not more. The summer before college was a masterclass in being taken for granted. While Tyler attended expensive baseball camps, and Brooke got her bedroom completely redecorated, I worked double shifts at the restaurant, watched both kids, and somehow found time to prepare for the most challenging academic experience of my life. My parents attended Tyler's summer league games religiously. They documented Brooke's art camp projects like she was the next Picasso. My scholarship ceremony? They had a softball game and a dance recital. More important priorities, as always. Moving to New York felt like stepping into actual sunlight after living in a cave for 18 years. For the first time in my memory, I was surrounded by people who saw me as more than free labor. My roommate Emily actually thanked me when I helped her move furniture. Can you imagine? Someone thanking me for helping instead of just expecting it as my default setting. My study group appreciated my organizational skills without demanding I solve all their problems. College was where I discovered what I was capable of, when I wasn't constantly managing other people's chaos and emotional needs. My professors noticed my work ethic. My internship supervisors recommended me for competitive programs. People saw potential in me, not just my utility as an unpaid assistant and family servant. It was revolutionary. I called home once a week that first semester, dutifully checking in like the good daughter I'd been trained to be. The conversations followed a predictable pattern every single time. How was Tyler's season going? Brooke needed help with a school project. Could I talk to her over video chat and basically do it for her? Richard's work was stressful. Linda was overwhelmed. Everyone was so busy with their important lives. And how was my experience at one of the most prestigious universities in the country? That's nice, dear. Can you hold on? Tyler's coach is calling. By sophomore year, I was calling home every other week. By junior year, once a month, not out of rebellion or anger, but because I was building a life where I actually mattered, where my achievements were celebrated, where my presence was wanted rather than required, where I existed as a person rather than a function. The distance gave me clarity I'd never had before. I could see the patterns, the manipulation, the way my family had convinced me that love meant sacrifice while they sacrificed absolutely nothing for me. I was the daughter who gave up her childhood to raise their children, who worked to fund her brother's dreams, who disappeared so they could focus on the kids they actually wanted to parent. My senior year, I landed an internship at a prestigious marketing firm in Manhattan, not because of family connections or financial support, but because I'd built a portfolio of work that impressed people who didn't share my DNA. My supervisor, Patricia, became my first real mentor, someone who invested in my success without expecting me to manage her personal life in return. The internship led to a job offer, full benefits, competitive salary, opportunity for growth in New York City, surrounded by people who valued my contributions and respected my boundaries. It was everything I'd worked toward, and it was completely mine. When I called to share the news, Tyler was in the middle of a recruiting visit. Brooke had made the honor roll. Linda and Richard were planning a celebration dinner for her academic achievement, something they'd never once done for my straight A's throughout high school. That's great, sweetie, Linda said absently. Can you call back later? We're just heading out to dinner for Brooke. I hung up and realized I'd been holding my breath, not from disappointment anymore, but from relief. Because for the first time, I understood that their indifference wasn't about me. It was about them and their inability to see past their own priorities. Graduation day arrived with typical family priorities on display. My parents chose to attend Tyler's middle school promotion ceremony instead. My Ivy League diploma apparently ranked lower than Tyler's transition to 8th grade. I sat in Columbia's graduation ceremony, surrounded by families who'd traveled across the country to celebrate their children's achievements. Emily's parents had flown in from Oregon and treated me like an honorary daughter, taking pictures and asking about my post-graduation plans with genuine interest. For a few hours, I experienced what it felt like to have people proud of you without expecting anything in return. My phone buzzed once during the ceremony. A text from Linda. Sorry we couldn't make it. Tyler's ceremony ran long. Congratulations. No phone call, no request for pictures, no acknowledgement that their oldest daughter had just accomplished something they'd never even dreamed of achieving themselves. The job market in Manhattan was brutal, but I'd prepared for that reality. While my college friends moved back home to figure out their next steps, I stayed in New York with $2,000 in savings, a sublet apartment in Queens, and the kind of determination that only comes from having absolutely no safety net to fall back on. Those first 6 months tested every survival skill I'd developed growing up. I lived on ramen noodles and discounted groceries from the corner bodega, took the subway everywhere, and worked unpaid overtime to prove myself at the marketing firm. But it was my choice, my struggle, my investment in my own future. Meanwhile, the family group chat provided regular entertainment. Tyler's high school baseball achievements received essay-length celebrations. Brooke's high school art show was documented like the Met Gala. Richard's promotion, Linda's garden club presidency, even their dog's successful recovery from dental surgery, received more fanfare than my college graduation. By winter, my hard work started paying off in tangible ways. I received my first promotion and a salary increase that allowed me to move to a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No roommates, no family obligations, no one expecting me to sacrifice my comfort for their convenience. I bought my first real piece of furniture, a comfortable reading chair, and cried sitting in it. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming realization that I'd created a space where I could exist peacefully, where no one needed anything from me, where my presence was chosen, not mandated. Have you ever experienced that moment when you realize your family dynamic was never actually about love? Drop a comment below if you felt like the outsider in your own family. 2 years into my New York life, I developed something I'd never had before: standards. Not just professional standards, though those had certainly elevated, but personal standards about how people could treat me and what I would accept in relationships. My career was flourishing in ways that surprised even me. The marketing campaigns I developed for luxury brands had caught serious industry attention. I was invited to conferences, quoted in trade publications, and headhunted by competing firms. Success, it turned out, was significantly easier when you weren't constantly distracted by family crisis management. I started dating Ethan, an architect who appreciated my independence and shared my ambition. He was the first person I dated who didn't expect me to manage his emotional needs or sacrifice my goals for his convenience. Our relationship felt like an actual partnership rather than another unpaid job. My therapist, yes, I'd finally prioritized my mental health, helped me understand that my family dynamic wasn't normal. "You were parentified, Dr. Chen explained during one session. You were forced into an adult role before you were developmentally ready, and now you're learning to reclaim your autonomy." The therapy sessions were like learning a new language. Words like boundaries and self-advocacy had never been part of my vocabulary growing up. By year 4 in New York, I'd stopped checking the family group chat entirely. My life had become too full of genuine relationships and meaningful work to waste emotional energy on people who'd never learned to see me as more than functional. The marketing director position at Sterling & Associates came with a corner office, a talented team, and clients who sought my expertise specifically. My savings account had multiple zeros. My investment portfolio was growing. I could afford luxuries without calculating the opportunity cost. The penthouse apartment viewing was supposed to be just another weekend activity. Ethan and I had been casually looking at upgrade options, dreaming more than seriously planning. But when the realtor led us into the 34th floor corner unit with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, I felt something shift inside me. "This is it," I whispered, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of gold and amber. Ethan squeezed my hand. "Are you sure? It's a significant investment." I was sure. I was sure. 2. The sign Zach's. For the first time in my life, I was making a decision based purely on what I wanted. The closing process took 3 months. During that time, I received exactly 0 calls from my family checking on my life changes. Moving day arrived with professional efficiency. By evening, I was sitting in my new living room, surrounded by boxes but filled with satisfaction. I posted a subtle photo on Instagram, just the sunset view from my new living room window, with a caption about grateful for new beginnings. The responses were immediate and warm from friends and colleagues. 3 days later, my cousin Ryan called. We'd maintained a distant but friendly relationship over the years. He was the only family member who'd ever visited me in New York. "I saw your Instagram post," he said. "That view is incredible. Mind if I come see the new place this weekend? I'm in town for work." Ryan's visit was easy and comfortable. Before leaving Sunday morning, he asked if he could take a photo of us on the terrace. "My mom's always asking about you," he said. "She'll want to see that you're doing well." I agreed, thinking nothing of it. Ryan was proud of his cousin who'd made it in the big city. It was sweet and harmless. He posted the photo that evening with a caption about visiting family in NYC and being impressed by my success. The photo showed us laughing on my terrace, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind us, the expensive furniture and city views clearly visible. Looking back, that photo was the match that lit the fuse. That single social media post made my success visible to people who'd spent years assuming I was struggling somewhere in New York, probably waitressing and barely making rent. The phone call came at 6:47 p.m., on a Tuesday, while I was reviewing campaign proposals. Caller ID showed Linda, a contact I hadn't seen active in months. "Hi, Mom." My voice was neutral, professionally polite. "Natalie, sweetheart." Her tone was artificially bright, enthusiasm she'd never shown when calling to check on my well-being. "How are you, honey? It's been too long since we talked." Red flags immediately. In over 3 years of living in New York, she'd never called just to chat. "I'm fine. How are things at home?" "Oh, busy as always. Tyler's doing wonderfully at State. And Brooke's loving her senior year. She's applying to art schools now." I waited for her to ask about my life, my work, my relationship. The silence stretched uncomfortably. "Anyway," she continued, "I saw Ryan's photo from his visit. Your apartment looks lovely, dear. Very upscale." There it was. The real reason for this sudden maternal interest. "It's a nice place. I've worked hard to afford it." "Of course you have. We're so proud of you, sweetie." "Actually, honey, that's part of why I'm calling. We have a situation here at home, and I thought maybe you could help us out." My chest tightened with familiar frustration. "What kind of situation?" "Well, Brooke got accepted to her dream art program in California. Very prestigious, very expensive. We're a little short on the tuition money. And with Tyler's college expenses too, we thought maybe you could help." "How much are we talking about?" $39,000. $39,000. More than most people's annual salary. More than I'd saved in my first 2 years of working. An amount they were requesting as casually as borrowing $20. "That's a significant amount of money, Mom." "I know it seems like a lot, but Natalie, this is Brooke's dream. She's worked so hard for this opportunity. And you're doing so well now. Ryan showed us the photos of your beautiful apartment. You're obviously very successful." The manipulation was breathtaking in its transparency. My success was evidence that I should subsidize my sister's education. My hard work was justification for their financial expectations. "Mom, I appreciate that Brooke has goals, but this isn't really my responsibility." "Natalie," her tone shifted, becoming sharper. "We're family. Family helps each other. When exactly has this family helped me?" The question hung in the air like a challenge neither of us expected me to voice. The silence lasted exactly long enough for me to realize I'd crossed a line she didn't expect me to cross. "That's not fair, Natalie. We've always supported you." "How? How exactly have you supported me?" "We raised you. We fed you. We put a roof over your head." "Mom, those are basic parenting requirements, not special favors. When did you ever attend my school events? When did you celebrate my achievements? You're being very ungrateful right now. After everything we've done for you." I felt sick hearing the manipulation so clearly now. "You know what? Let me think about it." "Oh, wonderful. I knew we could count on you. Brooke will be so excited." "I said I'd think about it, Mom. I didn't say yes." After hanging up, I sat processing what had just happened. 3 years of zero contact except when they needed something. The next few days brought a barrage of communication. Brooke called, gushing about her acceptance. Tyler sent a text saying he'd heard I was doing really well. Even Richard called. "Natalie, your mother told me about Brooke's opportunity. It's generous of you to help out." "Actually, Dad, I haven't decided anything yet." "Well, of course you'll help. Brooke's your sister. This is what family does." 3 days later, Linda called back. The artificial sweetness was gone. "Natalie, we need an answer about Brooke's tuition. The deadline is approaching. I've thought about it, and I can't help with the tuition." The silence was deafening. "What do you mean you can't help?" "I mean I'm not in a position to give you $39,000. Natalie, don't lie to me. Ryan showed us your apartment. We know you're doing well. My living situation doesn't mean I have liquid assets available for other people's expenses." "Other people?" "Brooke is your sister. A sister who hasn't spoken to me in 3 years except to thank me for money I haven't given her. You need to figure this out, Natalie. Brooke's counting on you." "No, she's counting on you. You're her parents. Her education is your responsibility, not mine." How can you be so selfish after everything we've done for you? Mom, specifically, what have you done for me that you didn't do for Tyler and Brooke? Silence. Fine. If you can't help your own family, then you should sell your apartment and move somewhere more reasonable. Transfer the money to Brooke and stop being so irresponsible with your life. I felt my breath catch. She wasn't just asking for money anymore. She was demanding that I downgrade my entire life. I'm not selling my apartment. Then you're being selfish and ungrateful. I'm not giving you the money. Yes, you are. You're going to figure out how to make this work because that's what family does. End of discussion. It's not end of discussion. It's my money, my decision, and my answer is no. I hung up before she could respond. Over the next hour, I received 17 phone calls from various family members. I turned off my phone. 2 weeks of silence followed. Then my doorman called. Linda was in the lobby asking to come up. She appeared at my door looking rumpled but determined. We need to talk. She pushed past me uninvited, walking around my living room like she was conducting an appraisal. This must have cost you quite a bit. It's time to do well for your family. I thought I was clear about my position. Your position is unacceptable. Brooke's dreams are being destroyed because of your selfishness. Brooke's dreams are not my responsibility. She walked closer, invading my space. Let me explain something to you, Natalie. Family takes care of family. We raised you. We supported you. And now you owe us. I don't owe you anything. Yes, you do. And if you don't give us that money willingly, I'll find other ways to get it. I'll explore every legal option available, including filing suit against you for financial elder abuse of your father. I stared at her, genuinely shocked. Financial elder abuse? Dad's not even retirement age. Go ahead. Sue me. File whatever papers you want. Drag me into court, and explain to a judge why I'm legally obligated to pay for my sister's college education. That's when she slapped me. The sound echoed in my apartment. My cheek stung, but more than that, I felt relief. Because in that moment, she'd revealed exactly who she was. I looked at her calmly. Get out of my apartment right now. Richard called that evening. Your mother told me about your conversation today. Did she mention the part where she slapped me? A pause. She mentioned that emotions ran high. Dad, she came to my home uninvited, threatened to sue me, and then hit me when I didn't comply. Now, Natalie, let's not be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being accurate. Look, sweetheart, maybe we can find a compromise. Even $20,000 would help. I'm not paying any amount. Your mother is talking about lawyers, Natalie. It would be easier for everyone if we could just work something out. Are you seriously calling to warn me about legal action while simultaneously trying to pressure me into paying money to avoid it? That sounds like extortion. I'm trying to help you understand the situation. I understand perfectly. You want $39,000 from me and you're willing to threaten legal action and emotional manipulation to get it. What I don't understand is why you think any of that would make me want a relationship with people who treat me this way. Natalie, you're our daughter. We love you. No, you don't. You love what I can provide. When's the last time you called just to see how I was doing? When's the last time you celebrated my achievements without calculating how they could benefit someone else? We do care. That's why we're asking for your help. You care about my bank account. You don't care about me as a person. I'm going to make this simple for you, Dad. I'm not giving you money. I'm not negotiating. And if you or Mom contact me again about this, I'll consider it harassment. I hung up and immediately blocked both their numbers. The final messages came from my siblings. Brooke's was an essay-length guilt trip. Tyler's was shorter but direct, calling me a disgrace to the family name. I took screenshots of everything before blocking their numbers too, not for legal purposes but for clarity. Dr. Chen helped me process the finality during our session. How does it feel knowing you've closed that door? Peaceful. I spent so many years waiting for them to see me as worthy of their love. Now I realize I was waiting for something that was never available. 6 months later, Ethan proposed. The proposal was thoughtful, personal, focused on our future together rather than anyone else's expectations. A year after that, when our daughter Emma was born, I held her in my arms and made promises I'd never heard as a child, that her worth would never be conditional on her usefulness, that her achievements would be celebrated for her sake, that she would be loved as a complete person. Most importantly, I promised her that she would never be responsible for managing adult emotions or solving problems that weren't hers to solve. Emma will grow up in a home where love is unconditional, where boundaries are respected, and where children are allowed to be children. And if she ever asks why she doesn't have grandparents on my side, I'll tell her the truth. That some people are related by blood but aren't actually family. And that real family are the people who choose to love and support each other consistently, not just when it's convenient. My real family is Ethan, Emma, and the chosen tribe who saw my worth when I couldn't see it myself. I'm Natalie. I'm 29 years old, and I finally learned the difference between being used and being loved. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family who only showed up when they needed something? Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in difficult family situations. Sometimes protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival.